Guys, Chapter 4 Season 4 has been out for a few days, and this is a video on what I think you should be picking up, what is the most optimal weapon choices, but also how you should be using these weapons. Let's dive right into it. Alright, so we're going to be breaking down the weapons by category. I do actually believe it makes perfect sense to start with the shotgun category, since shotguns are just so fundamental to Fortnite, so let's just start there, right? What are our options? We have the pump, we have the infiltrator pump, and we have the Maven, and then there's some exotic choices, and then we have the kit mythic shotgun. And I do actually believe that there's a fundamental problem with how people view the weapon choices that we have. The problem is that the infiltrator pump is viewed as a pump by most people. Let's look at it, right? Lower damage, faster fire rate, faster pullout time in terms of gun swap delay, right? And in general, it actually behaves more like attack than it does a pump. The tactical shotgun is a faster firing weapon, which compensates by having lower damage. It doesn't feel good when you find that opportunity, that angle, and your opponent kinda can just like shrug it off and ignore your damage. That doesn't feel good. I think infiltrator pump is gonna suffer from those problems. You know, hitting someone for significant damage is important, especially when you have one or two opportunities to do so, and I think pump does that job much better. Alright, so enough about that. I do want to talk about some common mistakes that people make with the pump shotgun, just so you guys can avoid them. One mistake is that people don't reload enough. I do want you guys to find those opportunities in the middle of your fights where you're not, doing anything and you could possibly reload. A couple examples of this is where you're playing defensively, you've done healing and you're still waiting for your opponent to come to you. Check your reload, make sure you reload. Another one is where you're chasing your opponent and you're on height, you have some flat ground, you don't necessarily need to build, but you still need to close the gap. So instead of tack sprinting, you could just like walk and reload instead, right? Just make sure you're not like getting caught off guard with 0 bullets. Like, that's something that I've seen very often from not only myself but from my students as well. So definitely want to make sure that you guys aren't making that same mistake. I'll give you some tips on the charge. I think the charge is actually an important one to discuss, because like if you have the opportunity to like maybe you won't land at that POI where you get the charge, but it's really important that you pick it up if you do find it. I do actually believe people should get used to it, because the excuse that like, hey, I don't like the charge because I'm not used to it, it's not a good long-term excuse. It's a good short-term excuse. So what I mean by it's a good short-term excuse is that like if you're in a solo cup and you are not good with the charge yet, then you should probably not pick it up, right? Like if you have a purple pump or whatever, like for sure don't pick it up. If you're practicing and you're playing realistics, then practice with it, because that's how you're gonna get better, just like you got better with anything else in Fortnite. So make sure you're practicing with it, because I do want you to be equipped with the ability to pick it up if you see it, because it's such a good shotgun. It is easily one of the best shotguns in the game. Now, actual tips with the charge shotgun, I would say a lot of people kind of feel obligated to charge it up to full. There's actually a lot of examples where people can hit for like 100 just tapping it, right? Like not full charge, like 10% charge. The other thing is, a lot of people walk around, like in the middle of a 1v1 or 2v2, they walk around with it charged. So that's not good, because number one, it's telegraphed. Number two, you can't build, at least not easily, without canceling it, so that's not good either. And it's just not a good way to use the charge shotgun. I would actually recommend that you use the charge shotgun like normal pumps, for the most part. Alright, let's talk about the exotic shotguns. This is important. We do have the exotic Maven, and we do have the exotic heavy shotgun. The breacher, that is. And I think the most important thing that people have to realize with these guns is that they're utility based, and so the way that you should play with them is completely different. I would say that the exotic Maven is something that you should use in terms of utility for its movement speed, the pepper effect that it offers you. So if you need to hit someone on a rotate, then do so, because it gives you a pepper effect. This is very useful in like solos. And exotic Maven, like dude, it actually hits for good damage. Absolutely, it absolutely does. So if you use it like attack, it's gonna do good for you. The breacher shotgun is one that's interesting. Never overcommit a 50-50 when you don't have a significant reason to do so with the breacher shotgun. The breacher shotgun is really, really good at what? Breaching, taking walls, right? So if that's the case, then you should play in that manner, and it makes a lot more sense if you space yourself 1 or 2 tiles away and try to take pieces, full piece them, and then slowly, edit, shoot, reset, edit, shoot, reset, edit, shoot, reset until they're done. And if they're solo, that maybe you hit them 185 with the headshot, which it absolutely does really, really good with. It does a lot of damage if you hit the headshot, then, you can use your SMG to finish off the fight. But in general, guys, definitely keep your distance with the breacher shotgun, because even though you can aim with the shotgun, it is a little bit inconsistent, because it's a slug-based shotgun and not a spread-based shotgun. It doesn't, shoot pellets, it shoots a slug, a single slug. So definitely make sure that you're keeping your distance, because you don't want to go into a volatile situation expecting to win, because missing with the shotgun is very, 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 very punishable. So make sure you play properly with the breacher shotgun, and I think you'll find, like, a lot of pros, guys, running solos with this, like W keying with this, it's a very good shotgun. It breaks walls. There's value in that, you know. Just make sure you're playing the playstyle properly, and I think you'll find the value to be working for you as well. So, okay, moving on to the ARs. We have the Twin Mag AR, and we have the Suppressed AR. And I think this one's an easy choice. Like, for the most part, Suppressed AR is just not good. Like, just not a good AR. So don't pick that up. And Twin Mag AR is insane. It does a lot of damage if you actually hit your shots. Like, if you've ever been hit by one of these things, like, I think you'll notice that, like, your HP just drops. And for some reason, I think that's because of the DPS of the weapon. The DPS of the weapon, if you hit every bullet, is really high. For the same reason, I actually find it pretty viable to run a Twin Mag and a pump. Like, it's not the worst setup, right? Especially if you're in like a surge lobby, like you kind of need to make some sacrifices in order to find a surge weapon, right? Like you need to run a surge weapon in order to find surge. You can use this still as a inbox weapon because it does do a lot of damage. It's not the worst to hip fire with. You can definitely get better at this, and it's not the worst at taking walls either, believe it or not. It's pretty good at taking walls, actually. So, Twin Mag is a big thumbs up for me. Practice your aim with this gun specifically. So, guns in general have a very specific feeling and recoil pattern, right? Most of the time, people are not familiar with the gun itself and the recoil patterns. And especially with this AR, dude, like, it is so important you get good at aiming with it because the damage that you will find if you are able to hit every single bullet is insane. Like, it's absolutely crazy. It's so much value. So, last but not least, we do have the SMGs. The Burst SMG is a new weapon that we have, and the Combat SMG is the weapon that we know from last season. I think this one's a landslide again. The new weapons are just not that good, guys. Like, the Burst SMG is not the best. Believe it or not, like, I know people are like, oh, like, it's good medium range because you have a scope. Like, I don't know what you're saying, dude. Like, that might be somewhat true, but, like, the SMG class in general just has crazy damage fall-off. So if you're shooting someone, like, 50 meters, 100 meters, like, you're not going to do a lot of damage anyways because the damage falls off so quickly when it comes down to the actual effective range of the SMG. When you get into close range encounters, it's really important you understand that the Burst SMG doesn't do good in these circumstances. Like, it doesn't take walls well, it doesn't do that much damage in a 50-50 situation, it just feels kind of clunky and awkward. But yeah, guys, the Burst SMG, I'm just not a fan. I think the Combat SMG is just better in all realms. And one tip for the Combat SMG, I mean, it works with SMGs in general, but Combat SMG does a good job of this. It just melts through builds, right? Test people. Like, you give your opponent too much respect. Like, test them more often and try to shoot through the builds and ask them the question, are you holding this build, right? Because sometimes they're not, and then you get, like, 3 bullets of damage, and that's instantly, like, 60 damage. For free, by the way. Just because you chose to shoot here. Spray more often. It's really good in a situation where your duo is box fighting them and you're maybe a little bit further away, but you still want to influence the fight, so you just spray a wall. It's crazy how much damage you can get, especially if you're used to the recoil pattern of this gun. Like, a lot of people don't find it comfortable managing the gun, but I think you can learn it. I feel very comfortable managing the gun recoil wise. Like, I could shoot someone 100 meters away full spray because you can like pull down on the gun and actually manage it pretty well. So that's something I recommend. Combat SMG is definitely my SMG of choice. If you guys agree or disagree, let me know in the comments, but I just don't think that Burst SMG is that good, honestly. I just don't agree with it at all. But yeah, guys, this is the meta-analysis. I think the weapons are pretty easy. It's pretty much all the old weapons and the Twin Mag AR. That's the summary of it. If you have any questions, like, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And I will be continuing to make some good videos on this season. So we'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.